Hello, Year 5, and welcome to our next lesson. Today's lesson, we're going to be looking about and learning about the types of different jobs. Let's think about our knowing more and our remembering more. So, let's think if we can recall some of the information we learnt last lesson on deforestation. Here are the questions which I'm going to read to you, and then I want you to pause the video before moving on to the answers. Question number 1. Deforestation is the removal of trees. Is that true or false? Question number 2. What is not a reason for deforestation in the Amazon? Urbanization, commercial agriculture, tourism, or mining? Question number 3. List 2 effects of deforestation. Question number 4. Which word is used to mean small, family, or community farming? I want you to now pause the video before moving on to your next questions to see whether you were able to recall all the information we learnt on deforestation. Awesome, well done. You were able to remember that deforestation is the removal of trees. So that is true. Which is not a reason for deforestation in the Amazon? Well, tourism. Tourism does not impact on deforestation. Question number 3. List 2 effects of deforestation. Well, you could have written any one of these two, either climate change or soil erosion or loss of biodiversity. Question number 4. Which word is used to mean small or friendly, small family or community farms? It's subsistence farming or agriculture. So well done on doing such a great job recalling all of our information from our lesson on deforestation. In today's lesson, we're going to be thinking about the 3 main objectives. I can define the 3 different job sectors, I can exemplify jobs in each sector, and I can explain the employment options in Brazil. And remember, we always have to link all of the information and everything that we are doing back to our knowledge organizer. So if you're ever stuck on any of the vocabulary, trying to think about where is Brazil, or what are the layers of the rainforest, or what is deforestation, always remember to come back to our knowledge organizer where we have all of the key vocabulary as well as images to help support the learning. Today, we're going to be looking at the different types of jobs, and that is on this part of our knowledge organizer here on the right hand side. We're going to be looking at the different sectors and what it means for Brazil. The key vocabulary words that you should know already are mining, fishing, selling, agriculture, and resource. Keywords that you will meet today will be primary, secondary, tertiary, employment, manufacturing, and extraction. So how might deforestation of the Amazon lead to jobs? Well, we can see the different images on the left-hand side of the screen. We can see there are builders who are collecting wood. We have in the next picture, we've got animals that are being reared as well as being used on farming. And we've got diggers that dig to create new land. And at the bottom, local communities and how that impacts together. So we have farming, logging, mining, paid to cut down trees, transporting goods like wood and meat. So let's look at some of the jobs. So jobs which involve harvesting resources from land or sea or extracting something from the earth are all called primary industries. So this could be fishing, farming, or mining. Primary means first, and jobs in the primary industries are always first in the job chain. The products of primary industries such as grain, fish, or oil are often made into new products. For example, grain is made into flour, fish may be dried to make fish meal, and oil may be refined to make petrol and other chemicals. Industries that make or manufacture these products are called secondary industries. So remember, primary industries are jobs that involve harvesting resources from the land or sea or extracting something from the earth, whereas secondary industries produce or manufacture products that have been recalled and gathered from the primary industries. The third type of industry is a tertiary industry. This includes jobs which involve providing services to people such as nursing, hairdressing, or teaching. It also has to do with products of primary and secondary industries. So, for example, repairing or advertising goods. So we have primary, secondary, and tertiary. Now, task today is to think about matching the job to the employment sector. So for example, let's just review what the three different sectors do. So the primary sectors gets the raw materials from the natural environment. The secondary sector are the making of those products. They manufacture the goods. And the tertiary service provide a service. So here we can see farming, teaching, factory worker, fishing, nursing, shop assistant, carpenter, mining. Can you match which job goes into which sector? I want you to pause the video and on a piece of paper, draw a table which has a primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sector. Can you put the right jobs into the right table? Excellent. Well done if you were able to identify the correct job in the correct sector. So we can see here that the primary sector jobs includes the farming, fishing, and mining, and the secondary jobs include the carpenter, making things from wood, factory worker, and providing a service is teaching, nursing, and shop assistant. So countries in the early stage of development usually have high percentage of population in the primary sector. This is because most people are engaged in farming activities. As a country begins to, there is an increase in the secondary sector. An increase in machinery and farms means fewer people are needed and people tend to get jobs in factories. When a country becomes more economically developed, there is a greater demand for services such as education, healthcare, and tourism, the tertiary sector, because then they all provide services. So if we look here, this is the employment structure for the UK. Below, there's a graph for the employment structure of Brazil. What is the same and what is different about the employment sectors in Brazil and the UK? So I want you to pause the video. Look at the pie charts. Look at the different variations and how they've been split and organized. Look at the difference between the primary, secondary, and tertiary sector. What can you see that's the same? And what can you see that's different? I want you to pause the video and have a think now. Awesome if you were able to identify that the primary sector in the UK is far smaller than the primary sector in Brazil, and that how the secondary sector in the UK is much greater than the secondary sector in Brazil. However, if you look at the tertiary sector in regards to providing services, they are roughly the same. So therefore, the differences are mainly between the primary and the secondary sectors. So how have jobs changed in Brazil? This is a longitudinal graph in the bar chart that shows how jobs have changed in Brazil from 2008 to 2018 over a period of 10 years. If you look at the bottom, it tells you at the bottom of the bar chart each year, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, until we get to 2018. On the left-hand side of the bar chart, it tells us the share of total employment. So starting from 0% all the way to 100%. And if we look, we can see here that the blue is the primary agriculture, the darker blue is the industry and secondary, and the grey is the services and tertiary. We can see over the last 10 years that the industry services have decreased slightly from 22.67% in 2008 to 20.43%, and also the primary sector with agriculture has decreased significantly from 17.46% in 2008 to 6.39% in 2018. So the agriculture and the primary sector has decreased by nearly half, which has meant that over the 10-year period, there has been an increase gradually in the tertiary sector. So I want you to be able to explain the different types of jobs and use the examples to support your explanations. So what types of jobs do people do in the primary sector? What types of jobs do people do in the secondary sector? And what types of jobs do people do in the tertiary sector? And your challenge is to think about what kind of jobs do people work in Brazil and how has this changed over time? So well done for being able to think about the different types of jobs that are done in Brazil. And I hope that you were able to write in your task why the jobs have changed over time, why there has been a more increase for jobs in the service sector, and there has been a decrease in jobs in the agricultural, in the primary sector. So let's review our lesson just to check our understanding. So the review of our lesson, we need to think about what each word means. So our primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sector. So remember, our primary sector are jobs that involve getting raw materials from the natural environment. Our secondary sector includes manufacturing of the products that have been taken from the primary sector. So they make the things that have been gathered from the natural environment. The tertiary sector provide a service such as teaching, nursing, and also education. So thank you so much for joining us. And next lesson, we're going to be continuing looking at Brazil. Remember, we're learning this so that next week we can look at how jobs in Brazil affect the rainforest, to be able to describe the impact of jobs in Brazil, and also to be able to explain how Brazil makes money. So well done for joining me today in our geography session, and head online now to Purple Mash to complete your geography quiz.